Jason, a 35-year-old American from Boston, felt an overwhelming sense of dissatisfaction with his life. Daily routines at his demanding job as a financial analyst wore him down, leaving little room for the vibrant experiences he longed for. It wasn't just the work, it was the relentless haste, the coldness of city life, and the failed romantic relationships that added to his discontent. After a series of heartbreaks that broke his already fragile spirit, he found himself daydreaming about a new beginning in a place where the pace was slower and the skies were brighter. That place, as he discovered through hours of browsing online forums, was the Philippines. Leaving everything behind was not an easy decision. Jason grappled with fear and uncertainty. He wondered, would moving across the globe really change his life for the better? What if the fantasies painted by his mind clashed violently with reality? Still, the idea of palm trees swaying in the breeze, sandy beaches, and a culture rich in warmth and community beckoned him like a siren's call. He imagined waking up to the sound of waves, spending afternoons learning to dive among colorful coral reefs, and, ideally, finding a genuine connection with someone who could understand him. He devoted months to planning, meticulously researching the cost of living, cultural customs, and the best cities for expats. Jason saw photographs of sparkling blue waters and people laughing, sharing meals together, and he felt a flicker of hope. He envisioned a life filled with camaraderie and adventure, where he could finally discover who he was beyond the confines of his corporate identity. However, how realistic were those dreams? Could they withstand the potential hardships that migration often entails? His initial preparation involved constant feeding of his fantasies with the stories of others who had embarked on similar journeys. He engaged in discussions with a community of expatriates online, absorbing their experiences, their triumphs, and their mistakes. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, Jason made a bold move to sell most of his belongings, leaving behind the life he had known. He purchased a one-way ticket to a country that felt like a distant paradise, fueled by the hope of starting anew. As the plane descended into the Philippines, he could hardly control the flood of emotions that surged through him. Anticipation danced alongside anxiety. He wanted to believe that this leap of faith would lead him to the life he'd always yearned for. But he also pondered how he would navigate the inevitable challenges that lay ahead. Would he find a job? Would he learn the language? Would he be accepted into this new culture? Or would he always remain an outsider? His heart raced as he stepped onto the vibrant streets for the first time, alive with the sounds and colors of a culture so beautiful yet foreign. Upon arrival, the reality shock hit him. The chaotic streets, the unfamiliar dialects, and the bustling markets felt overwhelming. As he ventured into this new world, did he really understand the depths of what was required to build a life from scratch? Could he truly amalgamate into a community that had its customs and rhythms, so unlike his own? The initial excitement morphed into a suffocating cloak of doubt. Jason struggled to communicate effectively, fumbling through simple interactions while grappling with the language barrier that seemed insurmountable. He found himself standing in long lines, trying to get accustomed to the local bureaucracy, often confused and embarrassed when attempting to navigate even the simplest of transactions. The realization set in that life did not come with a guidebook, and nothing could prepare him for this tumultuous ride. Furthermore, he had greatly underestimated the costs associated with living in paradise. Although some aspects were cheaper, food and accommodation in the tourist-heavy areas added up quickly. Jason felt his savings dwindling faster than he anticipated, and the dream of a hassle-free transition began to slip through his fingers. Loneliness crept into his life like an uninvited guest, amplifying his fears and insecurity. In the bustling streets filled with smiling faces, he felt entirely invisible. The lack of familiar relationships made every day feel isolating. Jason longed for friends and community, but where were they? How could he forge connections in a place where every conversation felt like a leap into the unknown? In his solitude, he witnessed the vibrant culture around him, families gathered for street food, children playing in the evenings, and locals celebrating festivals with a joy that felt infectious. Yet, he remained a castaway amidst the celebration, questioning if he would ever belong. He couldn't help but reflect how easily relationships formed back home and how difficult it was here. Would he ever break the barrier between himself and this new world? As Jason walked along the beach one evening, the sun dipping below the horizon, he wondered, was he foolish to think that moving halfway across the world could fix his problems? With memories of his past life still fresh in his mind, he felt compelled to seek a sense of belonging and purpose in this beautiful yet daunting new reality. With so many unanswered questions swirling in his head, he stood at a crossroads. The ideal version he had of the Philippines was beginning to fade, replaced with the sobering reality of challenges he had never anticipated. Could he learn to adapt, or would he retreat to the life he had left behind? Would the dream of belonging in this foreign land be strong enough to persevere against the tide of discomfort he was currently experiencing? In that moment of introspection, Jason realized he had a choice: to confront these challenges head-on, or to retreat into the familiar shadows of his past. The decision weighed heavily on him. The initial allure of the Philippines had started to wane, revealing a harsher side of life that Jason had not anticipated. The excitement of his new adventure quickly morphed into a daunting reality as he navigated the everyday complexities of a foreign country. He found himself battling language barriers that left him feeling isolated. Simple tasks, like ordering food or asking for directions, often turned into frustrating encounters. Jason could speak a few phrases of Tagalog, but the dialects were so varied that he frequently miscommunicated, leading to awkward moments and puzzled expressions from locals. How could he communicate his needs and build relationships if he struggled even with the basics? With every misstep, his confidence dwindled further. He wondered how long it would take before he felt truly comfortable in this new environment. Was he destined to remain an outsider, forever fumbling through interactions? Financial stress magnified these feelings of inadequacy. The promise of a low cost of living was shattered as he realized his savings were melting away faster than he ever imagined. While some things may have been cheaper, the unexpected expenses quickly piled up. He was naive to think his budget would stretch indefinitely in a place that was filled with enticing distractions. Vibrant markets, local delicacies, and simple pleasures that grabbed his attention but often drained his wallet. With every night out, every trip to the stores, he could feel the weight of his financial decisions pressing down on him. How could he make ends meet? Or would he have to reconsider his dream entirely? The isolation Jason felt was compounded by the loneliness of not having a support system. In a city brimming with activity, he felt like a ghost wandering through bustling streets. While he observed groups of friends laughing and sharing meals, he was left on the periphery, watching with a sense of longing. He thought about his friends back in Boston, the ease of companionship, and how everything he knew felt so far away. Would he ever connect with anyone here? Or was this life destined to be a lonely journey? Despite his struggles, Jason made a conscious decision to not give up. He began to step out of his comfort zone, seeking opportunities to meet people. He enrolled in a local language class, hoping it would not only enhance his communication skills, but also serve as a gateway to friendships. Each class introduced him to fellow expatriates and locals alike, all with their own stories of migration and adaptation. Each laugh shared over a mistaken pronunciation of a phrase became a little connection, a step closer to finding his place. As the weeks passed, one day, everything shifted. During a particularly lively class, he met Alex, a Filipino who was also passionate about connecting cultures. Alex had spent several years studying in the United States and understood all too well the challenges of adapting to a new life. They bonded over their shared experiences, discussing everything from food to family, and for the first time, Jason felt a glimmer of hope. Here was someone who truly understood the challenges of cultural adjustment and loneliness. Alex took Jason under his wing, introducing him to local hangouts, teaching him about traditional customs, and even involving him in community events. This new friendship felt like a lifeline, breathing life into his otherwise daunting reality. With Alex's guidance, Jason began to navigate social situations with newfound confidence. Together, they explored street markets, shared traditional meals, and discovered hidden gems that made the city feel more like home. In the midst of these new experiences, Jason realized he also needed to take control of his financial situation. Inspired by Alex and bolstered by his own expertise in finance, Jason began scouting for job opportunities that utilized his skills. He reached out to local business owners, offering help with financial planning and budgeting. To his surprise, he found a niche small companies eager for advice on managing their finances and navigating the complexities of running a business in a fluctuating economy. Each session not only earned him income, but also embedded him deeper into the fabric of the community, as he began to earn the trust and respect of those around him. However, this journey of adaptation was not without challenges. Jason often felt overwhelmed by the pace of life around him. How could he keep up with everything: the language, the customs, his finances, and, most importantly, building relationships? Sometimes the weight of it all felt unbearable. Would he find a way to balance all these new aspects of his life? Would he truly manage to integrate fully, or would he always feel like an outsider looking in? As he continued to immerse himself in Filipino culture, something shifted within him. Each failure turned into a lesson, and each connection deepened not just his understanding of the culture, but also of himself. He began to see the beauty in small victories, successfully ordering a meal in Tagalog, making a local friend, or simply feeling the sun on his skin during a beach outing with new companions. These moments, though seemingly insignificant, became markers of his resilience and determination to thrive. Jason pondered what these experiences meant for his personal growth. Was this journey merely about finding a new home, or was it also about uncovering his own identity? He felt the lines of his former self blur and reshape with every interaction and every challenge he faced. In this vibrant, chaotic world, he found glimpses of his true self, someone proactive, capable of overcoming adversity and opening up to others. Yet, the questions lingered. How would he continue to navigate the complexities that lay ahead? Would he confront more challenges that would test him, or was he on the brink of something significant? Jason's story was only just beginning, drawing him deeper into the heart of the Philippines, as he started to piece together what it meant to create a life filled with purpose, connection, and unyielding hope. As the months rolled on, Jason settled into a precarious yet thrilling routine that balanced his newfound friendships with the demands of his work. The obstacles he had faced, language barriers, financial strain, and overwhelming loneliness, began to feel like parts of a larger narrative of resilience rather than insurmountable challenges. Each day provided him with small victories and taught him lessons that catapulted him further into the heart of this beautiful yet complicated culture. However, even as he embraced this spirit of adaptation, there were moments when the weight of his isolation returned with a vengeance. One evening, after a long day filled with work and client meetings, Jason sat alone on the beach, watching the waves roll in under a sky painted with a spectacular sunset. The vibrant colors reminded him of the first days of his arrival, filled with promises of joy and discovery. Yet, here he was again, grappling with the reality of what it meant to belong somewhere new. Could he ever shake off the feeling of being an outsider? Would the friends he had made truly become a community? Or were they simply acquaintances he would leave behind if he chose to move again? These questions haunted him. Creating bonds took effort and vulnerability. He felt like he was playing a never-ending game of catch-up with his peers. Jason struggled with self-doubt, wondering if he would ever be fully accepted in this new environment, or if, ultimately, his roots were too deep in American soil to flourish in this new place. Then came the pivotal moment that shifted his path entirely. While attending a local festival, an annual celebration of food, dance, and culture, Jason found himself captivated by the enthusiasm that radiated from everyone around him. The music pulsed through the air, and people danced freely, their laughter echoing against the backdrop of colorful decorations and sizzling street food. In that vibrant atmosphere, he caught a glimpse of everything he had been yearning for: authentic connections, communal joy, and a true taste of Filipino culture. Encouraged by Alex, Jason summoned his courage and approached a group of locals engaged in a lively dance. As he awkwardly joined in, laughter erupted, and the initial hesitation melted away. That dance became a turning point. The locals welcomed him with open arms, teaching him the rhythms and moves, and sharing stories of their lives, families, and traditions. For the first time, Jason felt as if he wasn't just a visitor. He was part of something larger, a fabric woven tightly with countless threads of shared experiences. The festival sparked an epiphany within him. Embracing vulnerability and stepping outside his comfort zone were crucial steps in building lasting connections. In those moments of dance and laughter, he realized that he had to let go of his fears. Would he allow himself to be seen and, in that exposure, connect with truly remarkable people? With these thoughts swirling in his mind, Jason decided to lean fully into his new life. In the weeks that followed, he committed to immersing himself in the local community even further. He signed up to volunteer at a local nonprofit organization, helping disadvantaged families gain access to financial education and support. The excitement of giving back, along with the meaningful conversations he shared with those he worked with, filled a void he hadn't realized was there. Each weekend in the community proved to be a powerful reminder of human resilience. Jason found himself inspired by the stories of local families tackling adversities and pursuing their dreams despite the odds. Through this experience, he also recognized how relentless the human spirit can be. Seeing those citizens forge connections and strive for a better life sharpened his perspective on his own struggles. Where he once saw an unyielding wave of difficulties, he began to see opportunities for growth. How often do we allow our circumstances to cloud our potential and inhibit our ability to help others? Would his own journey of self-discovery inspire others to embrace their challenges as gateways to personal growth? As Jason grew closer to the people surrounding his volunteer work, he found a sense of purpose that filled him with joy. It was through their courage that he felt the barriers around his heart start to dissolve. His friendships with Alex and other community members blossomed into something deeper, a support network woven by shared goals, laughter, and dreams of making lasting impacts. What he once feared as loneliness transformed into a profound connection to a place and its people, a newfound understanding of shared struggles that tied them together. Then came another significant momentous invitation to a gathering at Alex's family home. Jason felt a rush of excitement mixed with apprehension. Would he truly be accepted into their familial circle? Arriving at Alex's home, he was greeted with warmth and laughter. The aroma of traditional Filipino dishes filled the air, enticing him as he stepped inside. As he interacted with Alex's family, Jason felt the last remnants of his feelings of alienation fade away. They swapped stories over food, and from the kitchen to the living room, the celebration of culture felt overwhelming in the best way. He was no longer a stranger. Jason had become a guest invited into the heart of someone's home, a moment of profound validation. Would the friends he had made truly become a community? Or were they simply acquaintances he would leave behind if he chose to move again? These questions haunted him. Creating bonds took effort and vulnerability. He felt like he was playing a never-ending game of catch-up with his peers. Jason struggled with self-doubt, wondering if he would ever be fully accepted in this new environment, or if, ultimately, his roots were too deep in American soil to flourish in this new place. Then came the pivotal moment that shifted his path entirely. While attending a local festival, an annual celebration of food, dance, and culture, Jason found himself captivated by the enthusiasm that radiated from everyone around him. The music pulsed through the air, and people danced freely, their laughter echoing against the backdrop of colorful decorations and sizzling street food. In that vibrant atmosphere, he caught a glimpse of everything he had been yearning for: authentic connections, communal joy, and a true taste of Filipino culture. Encouraged by Alex, Jason summoned his courage and approached a group of locals engaged in a lively dance. As he awkwardly joined in, laughter erupted, and the initial hesitation melted away. That dance became a turning point. The locals welcomed him with open arms, teaching him the rhythms and moves, and sharing stories of their lives, families, and traditions. For the first time, Jason felt as if he wasn't just a visitor. He was part of something larger, a fabric woven tightly with countless threads of shared experiences. The festival sparked an epiphany within him. Embracing vulnerability and stepping outside his comfort zone were crucial steps in building lasting connections. In those moments of dance and laughter, he realized that he had to let go of his fears. Would he allow himself to be seen and, in that exposure, connect with truly remarkable people? With these thoughts swirling in his mind, Jason decided to lean fully into his new life. In the weeks that followed, he committed to immersing himself in the local community even further. He signed up to volunteer at a local nonprofit organization, helping disadvantaged families gain access to financial education and support. The excitement of giving back, along with the meaningful conversations he shared with those he worked with, filled a void he hadn't realized was there. Each weekend in the community proved to be a powerful reminder of human resilience. Jason found himself inspired by the stories of local families tackling adversities and pursuing their dreams despite the odds. Through this experience, he also recognized how relentless the human spirit can be. Seeing those citizens forge connections and strive for a better life sharpened his perspective on his own struggles. Where he once saw an unyielding wave of difficulties, he began to see opportunities for growth. How often do we allow our circumstances to cloud our potential and inhibit our ability to help others? Would his own journey of self-discovery inspire others to embrace their challenges as gateways to personal growth? As Jason grew closer to the people surrounding his volunteer work, he found a sense of purpose that filled him with joy. It was through their courage that he felt the barriers around his heart start to dissolve. His friendships with Alex and other community members blossomed into something deeper, a support network woven by shared goals, laughter, and dreams of making lasting impacts. What he once feared as loneliness transformed into a profound connection to a place and its people, a newfound understanding of shared struggles that tied them together. Then came another significant momentous invitation to a gathering at Alex's family home. Jason felt a rush of excitement mixed with apprehension. Would he truly be accepted into their familial circle? Arriving at Alex's home, he was greeted with warmth and laughter. The aroma of traditional Filipino dishes filled the air, enticing him as he stepped inside. As he interacted with Alex's family, Jason felt the last remnants of his feelings of alienation fade away. They swapped stories over food, and from the kitchen to the living room, the celebration of culture felt overwhelming in the best way. He was no longer a stranger. Jason had become a guest invited into the heart of someone's home, a moment of profound validation. Willingness to open up created a newfound bond. He encouraged everyone to share their fears and triumphs, creating a safe space for them to process the challenges they faced together. Jason realized that it wasn't just about imparting knowledge, but also about fostering an environment where vulnerability was embraced. It was through understanding and empathy that true connections were made. As the workshop concluded, the atmosphere felt electrifying. They had collectively shared not just strategies for business, but also stories of personal resilience. These entrepreneurs were no longer strangers but allies, united by their shared experiences. In the weeks that followed, he witnessed the transformation within the group. Confidence blossomed alongside business ideas, and the collective spirit inspired them to push boundaries. Maria, in particular, became a driving force, her enthusiasm contagious as she kicked off a weekly market day at her eatery. She invited Jason to collaborate and integrate financial workshops into the festivities. The market day was a vibrant celebration of local talent. As the sun rose, Jason felt a surge of excitement mingled with nervousness. He knew this was more than just a day of business. It was an opportunity to bridge gaps, unite the community, and showcase the resilience of those who dared to dream. Would he be able to captivate the crowd and share knowledge in an engaging way, or would he falter under the pressure? As families gathered, laughter filled the air, and the aroma of traditional dishes wafted through the streets. Jason stood alongside Maria, feeling the energy pulsate around them. As he spoke to the crowd, answering questions and providing guidance, he sensed the supportive spirit of the community rise up around him. That day marked a pivotal moment in Jason's journey. He felt genuinely connected to the community he had once viewed from the outside. The conversations flowed effortlessly, smiles exchanged, and laughter echoed. The barriers of isolation crumbled with each exchange, and in that warmth, Jason found a reflection of himself, a man no longer wrestling alone against the currents of his past. Through this involvement, he began noticing profound changes within himself. No longer just an observer, he recognized the power of shared experiences, the significance of empathy and connection. What once felt overwhelming had transformed into a tapestry of relationships, support, and shared purpose. Would this be enough to sustain the sense of belonging he had long craved? Days turned into weeks, and as the project progressed, Jason found greater fulfillment. The relationships he had cultivated deepened, and he began feeling a sense of ownership over his space in this vibrant community. They saw him as a friend and ally, not just an outsider, someone willing to listen and learn while also imparting his knowledge. But this evolving connection also led to inner conflict. As he became more entrenched, he questioned what his long-term future would look like in this beautiful yet unpredictable environment. Underneath the exhilaration, the uncertainty nagged at him. Would he stay in the Philippines long-term, or was this experience merely a chapter in his life? He pondered what it would mean to fully commit to a place and a community that felt like home. In bringing his past self to this new journey, he wondered what the future would look like if he fully embraced this path. What sacrifices would he make, and what identity would he form in this evolving narrative? As Jason stood amidst the vibrant festivities, poised between his past and an uncertain future, he felt a quiet determination rise within him. He was ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead. The relationships he had forged, the challenges he had overcome, and the connections he had built were not merely reflections of courage, they were the embodiment of a life lived fully. Jason felt increasingly convinced that whatever came next, he would not face it alone. The heart of the community pulsated around him, reminding him that he was more than just a dreamer. He was a player in the story of resilience, connection, and hope. As the months rolled by, Jason felt the threads of his life in the Philippines weave tighter, forming a tapestry of friendships, opportunities, and self-discovery. The colorful market days he had helped cultivate blossomed into community events that brought together locals and expatriates alike, showcasing not only entrepreneurship, but the strength of community spirit. Each success was a step away from isolation, a moment where he could clearly see how far he had come. Yet, amid this sense of belonging, a shadow of uncertainty loomed over him. A letter arrived one mundane Tuesday morning, bearing the familiar logo of his old employer. Opening it, he discovered an unexpected offer to return to the States for a managerial position with a significant salary increase. The prospect was tempting a return to security, familiarity, and a career trajectory that had once seemed promising. But as he read the letter, his heart sank. Would he really want to give up everything he had built here? Jason took a moment to breathe and reflect on what had transpired since his arrival in the Philippines. He had transformed from a lonely outsider into someone profoundly connected with the community, a person who felt valued and fulfilled in ways he hadn't expected. The laughter shared during market days, the friendships he had forged with individuals like Maria and Alex, and the impact of his work with local entrepreneurs brought him a sense of purpose that was intoxicating. But as he sat at his kitchen table surrounded by the remnants of breakfast, he couldn't shake the looming question. What was truly most important to him? Was it security, or was it connection? Did he want to cut ties with the life he had built, or could he find a way to navigate both worlds? With a heavy heart, Jason sought advice from Alex. Sitting at their favorite coffee shop, nestled between small art galleries and street vendors, Jason poured out his conflicting thoughts. The vibrant atmosphere buzzed around them, but inside he felt torn. "I just don't know if I'm ready to let go of this life," he confessed, sipping his local brew. "I've worked so hard to build something meaningful, but the safety of a stable job is tempting. What if this is as good as it gets?" Alex listened intently, offering a nod of understanding. "You've created something beautiful here, Jason. It took time and effort to carve out your place in this community, but at the same time, you need to think about what will make you happy in the long term. What do you truly want?" As they chatted, Jason realized that he had cultivated much more than just a professional network. He had established a sense of home, yet the fear of uncertainty gnawed at him. What if the opportunities in the States offered him the career stability he desired? Would he be sacrificing his newfound friendships, leaving behind the potential for further growth and connection? In pursuit of clarity, Jason took the following days to deeply reflect. He walked the beaches near his apartment, watching waves crash on the shore, and listened to the local vendors at the markets, absorbing their stories and the joy they derived from their crafts. Each interaction reaffirmed the impact he had made. He was not merely a visitor, but part of a society thriving against the odds. After many contemplative moments, Jason made himself a promise. He would pursue a path of intentions. Instead of rushing to a decision, he would explore ways to combine aspects of both his old life and new. He would reach out to his employer to discuss potential remote work options balance between the security of the managerial role and continuing his work in the Philippines. If technology allowed him the flexibility to do both, maybe he could have it all. With newfound determination, Jason drafted an email to his old employer, bravely proposing that he could take on the managerial position while working remotely from the Philippines part-time. He outlined his dedication to the role, showcasing his past contributions and underlining the potential benefits of his continued involvement from a distance. Who knew? This could be a win-win for both parties. Days passed, and Jason found himself oscillating between hope and anxiety as he awaited a response. Each time his phone dinged, his heart raced, but the weeks felt like an eternity. Meanwhile, he continued to deepen his involvement in the communal organizing workshops, becoming more engaged in local initiatives, and spending cherished time with friends. The deeper connections he formed with the people around him helped nurture resilience and hope, creating a life rich with meaning. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, a response arrived in his inbox. The email was positive, expressing interest in his proposal and outlining a plan to discuss logistics further. His heart soared, and for the first time in a long while, Jason felt a wave of excitement rather than the cloud of confusion he had battled for so long. This was it, a crossroads where he could choose the best of both worlds. In the weeks that followed, he navigated the discussions with his former employer, collaborating on a work schedule, integrating his mentoring role within the community, and gradually establishing a rhythm that felt right. The prospect of merging these two significant parts of his life energized him, filling him with a newfound sense of purpose. And as the days turned into weeks, Jason discovered that balancing the two worlds was challenging yet incredibly enriching. He channeled his energy into planning, bringing his strategic skills into play while staying true to the values he had embraced during his time in the Philippines. He felt more empowered than ever, buoyed by the realization that he could shape his destiny. While navigating this balancing act, Jason often reflected on the journey that had brought him here, the lonely nights, the awkward moments of miscommunication, the deep connections he had cultivated. Each piece of his journey enriched his understanding of himself, teaching him lessons of resilience, vulnerability, and the importance of community. In the colorful tapestry of his life, Jason began to find a rhythmal way to dance between worlds while staying true to himself. And amidst this balancing act, he became increasingly aware of something powerful. In confronting his fears and embracing challenges, he had forged a path of his own, one painted with both uncertainty and joy. Jason realized his story was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder that we could create connections that transcend borders while honoring our roots. With each passing day, he felt the lines of his new life within the Philippines growing brighter, illuminated by the friendships, experiences, and dreams that intertwined. As Jason embraced this new chapter, he felt a quiet confidence blooming within him. He was ready to face whatever lay ahead, knowing that each day offered a chance to forge connections, carve a future, and fully immerse himself in the beautiful uncertainty of life itself.